I think we're live. We're currently live.
Are we live right now?
We're live right now.
We are live.
We're alive and live all at once here. Well, okay. Here's the real thing. Are we live?
I don't know.
I mean, we're recording.
We've re-recorded this so many times.
But we're not. We're not live, though, is what I mean. Like, nobody's watching us. You know what I mean? We're not on air. Like, if you're live on Facebook,
this is a pre-record.
Right.
For people that are going to listen to us later. Yeah. So I guess we wouldn't fit the actual definition of live.
Of what live is, yeah. Bummer. Or the green light is on. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
The green light on.
Showbiz. We have one on right now. I thought you did that.
Yeah, that was me. When I snapped.
Yeah.
That's why. We have this place decked out pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, here's a few reviews of me and Miranda's little apartment here that people have given. One of them is, to a quote, "I really like you guys' vibe here. I'm loving your vibe." End quote.
Who's that quote by? He didn't.
Caden said that when he stayed here.
Caden.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
But the night he was on the show.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
First time assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the vibe.
I think isn't that what you go for in your apartment, the vibe?
Yeah.
Especially as young hip people as we are, like we still have to have a vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude. We're getting younger every day.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Benjamin Button syndrome over here.
I know. If you would have seen me when I was younger, man, I might as well have been a fucking old man baby because I was not a good-looking teenager.
You had quite a bit of hair was I think the thing. Once you switched up your hair, I think you were fine.
Yeah, no, my hair and my face and my shape of my face, all of it was just a fucking mess.
Yeah, well, who looks attractive as a middle schooler?
Not me, but I work things out, so I'm happy about that. Oof. All right.
It's what we call a glow up in showbiz.
I always had a feeling when I was younger. I remember thinking this, you just watch when I'm older, I'll look a lot better. I know I'll be one of those guys that gets really good looking. I don't know if I quite reached what I wanted, but I'm happy. You know what I mean? I went from being I don't like the way I look to I'm good.
Yeah, I think we all get hotter as we age,
Mm-hmm.
Like a fine wine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like your beard.
Yeah.
It's coming in really nice.
Coming in. It's starting to look more seasoned, not like a young buck.
You got that. Shitters. I haven't really dressed the shitters yet, so I just want to let them in on the show. Yeah. Welcome to Nerd Shit in the Dark.
We're breaking the fourth wall here. Hey, guys.
Yeah, and glad to have you here tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot.
Oh,
and we're going to try to reach
and I'm going to forget about a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit scattershot.
But you'll remember as we speak. That's the good thing about conversation. Okay, now that you're addressed, I want to get back to this beard thing, though. Braden got his beard trimmed with a haircut, it seems like. And it looks really nice.
Paid money to get it trimmed.
Mm-hmm. Paid money. That's what I've been doing for a couple of years now. And you always like it when somebody else does it. Seems like your guy does a lot, a very similar thing to what my guy does.
Yeah, he just shapes it.
Yeah.
Shapes it up,
Yeah. Looks good.
So, I wish this would come in a bit more.
Yeah.
Just have a bit of patchiness and the...
Yeah. Takes time. 27. 27?
27, yeah.
Yeah.
Newly 27, but 27 nonetheless.
I've seen your beard come a long way over the years, and I have a good feeling about it.
Saw the beginning of it. I wasn't a beard guy before until I met you, and then I was like, I'm going to try a beard.
Yeah, you tried. And for a little bit there, I was trying. It was it was fine.
It spawned because that was the year I started teaching officially, and I kept getting mistaken for a student because I have a baby face. And so I was worried parents weren't going to take me seriously.
Yeah.
And so I grew out the beard to hopefully make me look a little older. And I think it does its job.
I'm very used to beard you. I'm at the point now where I'm so used to beard you that, because you will shave sometimes. You will.
Yeah, I will randomly get.
And it catches me off guard just a bit.
I'm sure it does. It usually grows in, at least a base beard grows in pretty fast.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
You have two looks.
Longer, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to see if I can really let it come in more.
Yeah. I think with what's just growing strongly in your chin, nose, your, that area.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
my goal is to be able to braid it. For it to be long.
Braid it.
I can braid it like a Viking.
Oh, okay. I'd say just a little bit longer on the chin, and you can at least get that started.
Get the little swoop going, yeah.
I'm going to trim mine. We have our friend Becky's wedding, one of the shitters, actually. So we're going to a shitter's wedding.
Yeah, shout out to Becky.
Becky. she's getting married next Saturday. So I'm going to trim up for that one more time. And then after this next haircut trim, I'm going to get my winter beard going.
There you go.
Nice and long, something for the baby to tug on.
Get the old wizened look.
Yes, very much. Very much. All right, let's, like I said up top, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
For sure.
It's only getting darker.
Yeah, noises are getting spookier.
So we should probably just get into new nerd shit, which kind of is what this show has become, where we just do the whole show for new nerd shit.
Yeah, new nerd shit really has monopolized the nerd shit game. I mean, to be fair, we came up with the structure in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so
3 years ago.
Yeah,
and
years ago, it was bound to morph.
Yeah.
As we looked at audience demand.
Yeah.
That's why we no longer do anime nerd shit.
Right. Yeah, you gotta make changes. You gotta make changes.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Tuned out at that point.
And maybe some people do, but as of right now, the people who listen probably don't care.
And as we both know, because we're podcasters in the podcast industry now, we follow the numbers.
We do follow numbers. I'm checking the numbers
constantly, just numbers upon numbers.
And they're going up. Here's the thing. I'll talk to you about some numbers real quick. Sorry, everybody. Who knows? Maybe I'll cut this. I don't want to sound like we got to check the numbers a lot, but I check the numbers.
I think it's a good insight into the background of new nerd shit.
Well, whenever I put out a new episode, our viewership gets a little higher, and it stays there. And even when I put out, because I'll edit some of our older episodes, like recorded before we were on Spotify, and put those up, those don't get as high as numbers, but they still get numbers.
And that's my favorite thing about our numbers, is that our numbers are so low that we can only go up.
Right.
Pretty much. And that feels good.
Yeah. And here's I've told you this before. People are listening to the show that aren't the people I'm expecting to have listened. Like, I see those numbers, and then the main people are like, oh, I haven't listened yet.
It's way different when you put a name to a number, you know?
Yeah.
Because we're not all about just numbers.
No, we don't do it for the numbers. But it's nice to see
do it for the numbers, but we understand that there's people behind those numbers.
Yeah.
We do it for them. They're not a number.
The shitters. That's the shitters.
The shitter.
That's who you are, shitters. This episode's for you.
Yeah, shout out to the dedicating this one to you. Great.
So we're going to give you a good one.
Yeah.
I can feel it already.
Yeah, it's got the energies in the air.
Brewing. So, new nerd shit's kind of become our section where we talk about, like normal, what new things that we're into. I didn't know if you want to dive into the things we all know what we're going to talk about, or if we want to start new nerd shit with two things, because most of our new nerd shit is the same.
That's true.
But I didn't know if you had been doing something that maybe is off from what we've been doing together.
So I have one thing that's off from what we've both been doing, and I mentioned it before.
Okay, but we are in a way still doing that. We're not playing it together, but we're both playing it. I just mean like something. Are you talking Starfield?
Yes.
Because I'm also playing Starfield.
Oh, you are playing.
So we're going to talk about that together. Right. So I'm meaning like if there's anything that...
I thought it was just me playing Starfield.
No, I play too. Not as much, but I started it. You know, I got about 8 hours, so enough to talk about. So if you have anything other than that you want to just go on.
That was my thing.
Okay, cool.
I think.
So we won't do one that like we're both not doing. We'll just dive right into, or that we're not both doing together.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think starting with Starfield's fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Starfield.
What's it called?
Starfield.
No, it's Starfield. Yeah.
By Bethesda. How do you say their name? I've been saying...
How do you say it?
Bethesda.
Bethesda?
Yeah.
It's Bethesda.
Bethesda.
Yeah.
No one hit... I know.
Bethesda Softworks.
Because what I've been mentioning it, they're like, oh yeah, the Bethesda game or something.
Oh, fuck.
No, it's not that bad, but...
Jesus, yeah.
I exaggerated that for comedic effect, but no, so people don't know how to say it. The name is what I'm just saying. But it's by Bethesda.
Bethesda, yeah.
People made like Skyrim, fucking Fallout games. All those games. And the thing with Bethesda, they're known for like these massive RPG games that people fall in love with, but they're simultaneously infamous for the glitchiness and the performance issues and all kinds of really weird, sometimes fun things, but also...
Usually good. I've never heard people really complain about the glitches in Skyrim or Fallout to the point that they're like, this is ruining it.
Yeah, because they they did fix a lot of them, and most of the glitches are harmless and just kind of funny. But every once in a while, there's a glitch that can like mess up a main quest, or mess up, like you lose shit or stuff. Stuff that's just like it sucks. But
they're known for this.
Starfield, as I've been playing it, because I've been playing it a bit more than you, I think, because you said you've only played a little bit of it.
I got about 8 or so hours in.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm at like.
I got it when the day it came out, like for pre-release.
I'm at like 12 or 15.
Okay, so yeah, you've definitely played more. So
yeah,
we gotta go 2 into this game, but we should.
Right. So there's already like a million things about it that annoy me, but simultaneously at the same time, I'm probably gonna sink like 200 hours into this game.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Once I get Baldur's Gate out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm wrecking shop on that.
Yeah, so like there are glitches, there are like things that the game doesn't do well at explaining of like what you're supposed to do, or like how the menu system works. The menu system, I think, sucks, or it's just like a lot of clicking.
It is a lot of clicking. I don't know if it's a menu system that like right out the gate I was like, okay, this is fine, but the farther I play in it, the more that I'm realizing how much I have to do in the menus. It's like,
and that's also a Bethesda staple, is that they have like these large menu systems like Skyrim had it. But like I think Skyrim's was a good menu system.
Skyrim's worked, yeah.
Even though you still had to spend a lot of time in it, it was a lot easier to navigate.
I feel like you needed to go into it as much though.
Right.
Like in Starfield, I feel like I need to go into the menu all the time for almost everything. Yeah.
And then like it is like a walking simulator in some aspects with like the exploration.
A walking simulator, yeah.
Because there is a lot of walking, and then you get overcumbered because
so quick.
You want to just grab all the shit.
Oh my god, it's so quick though. Like I just started the game and
you're overcumbered.
You can't do shit. You can't breathe.
yeah. And so you have to like do a lot of inventory management. So like we said, back in the menus again, like you're spending a lot of time managing your inventory.
Even just changing a weapon.
Oh, I hate
back to your like there's no.
It's so clunky.
Like with gun games, you usually have a button that just switches your gun. You got it. If you want to change it and you run out of ammo, at least for me, quickly. So I gotta change my gun.
Right.
Onto the menu. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like I think there's some scaling issues with it too.
Yeah.
Like I found this really good gun pretty early on. It was just like a random spawn on early on boss, and I managed to get a bunch of ammo for it, and it like one-shots all the characters. And so like I haven't really like...
Oh, that is a really good gun.
Yeah, but having it's just like a sniper that you just get like, and I have like 800 rounds for it.
Oh my god.
So like...
Well, all right.
Yeah, like I feel like I shouldn't be that good
this early.
Right in the beginning, but I also haven't played through enough of the game. And that's another thing. The game's massive.
Right, yeah.
Like, there's so much to do. It's very overwhelming.
I've heard the main story has taken people, like, 80 hours.
Yeah, a lot of quests. I've mostly ignored the main story so far. I did one of the main missions with, like, the ranger guy.
Okay, yeah.
But besides that, I've just been kind of dicking around, which this game is very easy to just dick around with.
It is very easy to dick around in the game.
Yeah.
And that's me with Bethesda games is typically...
It's encouraged to dick around.
I have more fun doing the other stuff. I very quickly am doing sides. Like, I did the main mission up to a point, and now I'm just floating around just doing the side stuff because...
Exploring planets.
I like the... it's one of these things where, like, I really do like the spaceship control and, like, the flying simulating.
I think the ships are cool.
I'm not as glad about how, like, with, in, like, No Man's Sky, you can just fly into the planets.
Right.
I wish Starfield was... I think you can do it, but it takes a really long time.
Super long. Yeah, it's like real world... It's like real space physics, which I appreciate, but, like, they should have added something, like, in No Man's Sky, where it's, like, the sublight engines, or, like, the pulse engines, where it's, like... It's not, like, the FTL drive, but it is, like, super speed to, like, get around planets and stuff, so you're not going at like 200 miles per hour to planets 9 million miles away.
So what that leads to is to get into a planet on Starfield, it's like, okay, you went into the menu to go to the map to locate the planet you're going to. Then you get to that planet from fast traveling. and then you have to go in the menu again to just go to that planet.
That's the thing. It's
a lot of that.
It's all done through a menu.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no actual player manual controls. It's just.
I mean, there is, but
yeah,
there is more
the
of
space
that.
fights are really fun. I think
Space fights are fun. The fighting is fun. Like when I get into
combat
battles,
is very fun.
combat's really fun. The weapons are interesting. I like how you have guns and like swords and fucking axes and shit.
And like I said, even though like I think it can be a little easy at certain points with the combat, I haven't gotten super far into the main story, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot higher level enemies.
Hopefully.
But even with that being said, the combat's still fun. Like the combat AI is pretty good. Like they have a sense of self-preservation and will try and like run away from.
Oh my god,
fucking them up.
I was in the middle of like, you know how like there's no cutscenes, but when you're talking to people, it's just like, right in their fucking face, and that's all you see.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of like a conversation with somebody post quest about something, and they were asking me to help them with something, and all of a sudden a fucking space monster, like in the middle of that not cutscene, just got laid out by this fucking animal, and we had to like fight this horde of them all of a sudden. I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
The things like that can happen.
That's always been a case with like Skyrim or like it's the same as Skyrim and Fallout too.
Yeah.
Like if you're suddenly attacked while talking to someone,
It's game time.
yeah,
So, and I just feel like they've leveled that even up some more.
for sure. Yeah, and again, I'm saying all my complaints with it because I do have a lot of complaints with it, but at the same time, I am
like
having
it.
a very fun time playing it.
Yeah.
Which is the paradox with all Bethesda. It's a typical Bethesda game. Like you kind of know what you're gonna get with.
Yeah. I think it has a little more issues with the things we've discussed, though.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim, yeah, it's good though. Like there's not a whole lot of menus. There's not a whole that you'd use them, but it's not.
There's already
overbearing.
There's already like a ton of mods out on it too.
I believe it.
So I do think like they modded Skyrim for
They're still doing it.
to Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So they this is definitely a moddable game that they can fix a lot of these issues later on. Like it is still the very opening launch, but
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
yeah, like one of the glitches that was awful. I don't know if you got this, but there's a ship that you can get if you complete a certain quest of like finding a secret base.
Mm-hmm.
And the ship is nice. It's like good for an early on game ship. But I didn't know that it had this well-known glitch now at this point where it has weapon racks that you can like store your weapons on. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like I can display my weapons in my ship. That's pretty cool. And I don't have to carry them on me then. So I stored all of my my good weapons onto the weapon racks and then jumped to a different system. And I didn't notice until much later, but they all disappeared.
Oh,
and
God.
you can't get them back. And I looked it up, and it's like a well-known glitch with that ship in particular with the weapon racks that they need to fix. But they're like, yeah, there's no fixing getting it back. And that's just kind of
That
what
hurts.
these games. Yeah, it hurts, but that's just kind of what these games are like.
Yeah.
You just like,
They'll get to it. They'll fix it.
that's the thing. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal because it was still pretty early on in my game, and
Yeah.
I got way better shit anyways. That it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You feel it at first.
what do you think about the companions?
I like the robot one that follows you around
He's the
kind of
best
early
one.
on.
I think he's
pretty
the best
awesome.
one. Yeah, Vasco.
The ranger dude, like the Texas Ranger and his daughter.
Yeah.
They seem fun. That woman
They
that
do
follows
seem
you at the
fun.
start. Oh God. I didn't really care for her much. They're not companions like another game we're playing that are very memorable.
Yeah, I would say that like this game probably has some of the weakest companions in terms of like personality or character design wise compared to past like Fallout or Skyrim.
Yeah.
Fallout had very memorable companions, and they all looked different or had different like vibes about them. They had interesting stories, and all of these ones kind of seem samey. And then like I don't think the companions are done super well, just because like you said with Sam, he's cool initially, but you can't go anywhere without his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually like it just starts like she just is in the way, and she doesn't do anything. She just takes up space in your ship.
And this is how Braden's gonna feel about our friendship after my kid's born. It just got to a point where
you kick her.
Go on. Yeah.
And another thing, like
She didn't do anything.
4 questline companions, like the ones that have like a genuine story written about them, are all like lawful good characters, pretty much. Like most of them will get pissed at you if you steal anything, if you want to be a pirate, like they will get mad at you and not want to follow you anymore. So it basically forces you to play as a good character, even though technically you're supposed to be able to
do whatever you want.
Yeah. Supposedly there are 2 pirate companions that you can get later on in the game when you join up, if you want to join up with like the pirate faction.
Yeah.
And they are evil, or like will not give a shit if you rob people or kill people. Because sometimes, I mean, I normally play as a good character, but space piracy seems dope in this game.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of be able to do that and not feel bad about it. But the game does have...
I mean, feel bad about my life.
Yeah, the game does have a morality system that like punishes you.
Well, that's funny because let me talk about a situation that I had with the game. So I was doing a quest with what's his name, Sam, the ranger guy, and we went to his dad's house to get like a map to where
I did that quest.
Right. So we're doing that quest, and I just didn't like the dad.
Yeah,
I didn't like the dad. So I saved. And then I shot the dad. I fucking killed that motherfucker.
Right.
And it had a lot of what we're talking about. There was a glitch where like his body got stuck on the top of the door. I was like, I'm gonna close the door. So I closed the door, and then his body fell. But like the fact that his body was just hanging up there.
Yeah.
So I shoot the dad. I kill the dad. Sam starts running around. So I'm like, I better go talk to him. He probably hates me.
Right. He's probably pretty traumatized right now.
So I talk to him, and he's traumatized, but he's talking to me about the conversation that he had just had with his dad before I killed his dad.
Did he even register that his dad's dead?
Not at all. And I talked to him, and we had a conversation about how he should go. And I was like, go talk to him. Knowing that his dad's dead. So he goes into the other room, and I walked back out, and there his dad was back up, alive and not dead. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just like sometimes the game...
And then I killed him again.
Right.
And then nothing. I was like...
And it's probably because they didn't write that part of like what would Sam's reaction be in the code. So they just like, if anyone tries to do this, just reset it.
It was weird. I was just ready, and I did. I just went back to my save because I was ready for like, I'm gonna do it. He's gonna try to fight me. Like it's gonna fuck up everything. But nah, Sam just ran away, pissed about what his dad said before I murdered his dad in front of him.
Not even acknowledging.
Yeah,
you blew his dad's head off.
Killed him. Raided his body. Walked away, came back, here he was. I was like, is he not even he was mad.
Murdered him and then robbed his corpse. And he's like, this is fine.
Dude, can you believe my dad said what he said? I sure. I guess, man. Are you okay?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, there's certain things are very goofy.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
it's fun.
It's very like, I don't know, it's hard to describe like what all is appealing about it, but
in the middle of me playing this year a game that is probably the second, if not the best game I played all year, that has driven you. It's drawn me in. In the middle of playing that game, I still have this urge to play Starfield, so that's a good sign.
Yeah,
and it is fun. It's interesting. It's a Skyrim game. It's a Bethesda game.
Yeah, and I love Bethesda
on
games.
the newest consoles.
Yeah, the vast majority of the flaws are forgivable or kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, there's a ton to do.
I've been calling it open universe instead of an open world game. Open universe game, open galaxy at least.
Open galaxy for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like our laugh track.
Anyways, Starfield. So it's a fun game.
If you have a computer or an Xbox.
Yeah, and some patience.
A little patience. At least you're having fun and it's pretty to look at while you're doing it.
Though.
Yeah. Check it out. That's a nerd oh, fuck. What was the... No, we don't want to throw this around, but what was our we had a nerd shit, like, stamp of approval that we made on the last one. A rapturous shit recommendation? Is that it?
Like that. Yeah, I think that was.
I think that's it. I'm not going to use it for that one. I like Starfield, play it, but it's not our RSR for this week.
Right.
Yeah. But what might be is our RSR. I think we can stick with video games and talk about the other video game.
Right.
That has been a part of our lives.
Want to start?
I absolutely do. Baldur's Gate 3. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but this was a big one for us that I was raring to talk about for the past few weeks now that about a month now I've been playing it. Fucking wow. Am I really... This has been a phenomenal year for video games. I have played a lot of video games this year, a lot of really good video games, and there are two in particular that have been groundbreaking for me. And that first one was Zelda.
Yeah, which I still haven't played.
Should play it. Baldur's Gate 3 is right next to that, and it's a game that I never expected was going to be this for me.
I was surprised.
It's not even my kind of game.
You took to it.
I took to it
because it is a different. It's definitely falls into the realm of a strategy game.
Oh, absolutely. And I said in one of our episodes where we were talking about this, where I used to, and I stopped, and I was looking forward to getting back into them, and I think I have, especially with this one. It was totally out of the ballpark of how I play games regularly, and I've never. For those who don't know, Baldur's Gate 3 is essentially the Dungeons and Dragons video game.
Right.
So it's based on the rules of literal Dungeons and Dragons in one of their realms, and you basically play video game Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And
it plays exactly like Dungeons and Dragons. You roll dice to fight and do pretty much everything.
A lot of the dice is off the screen. It's kind of they show a little dice happening.
Well. Yeah.
You don't have to click, but then there are sections where you roll the dice to see how you'll roll the d20.
Yeah, the important bits.
Yeah, and that's such a cool feature. So the first 5 hours I'm playing this game, 1, I'm learning the rules because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. 2, I'm learning how to play this game as well. 3, I'm playing a game that is very outside of how I'm usually playing video games. Especially I remember I got to the one section where I think we talked about it the other night. I don't know if you played it, but where the one inn is on fire and you have to save the people inside of it. I got to that and I was just what the fuck is going on? Can't I just walk? Why do I got to do this chessboard way of playing?
Right.
That's how lost I was at that point still in the game. And then I figured now it's I've got it down.
Yeah.
But boy, did it take... The first 15 hours of this game was me learning how to play.
For sure. It can be confusing with difference between actions, bonus actions, cantrips.
So like I said the other day,
slots,
fucking
movement.
Fucking dorks.
Yeah, it's very dorky.
Dungeons and Dragons, and which is fine.
Fun.
Which is fine, but boy, do I know. Do I struggle.
Yeah.
But now I played, I think my Steam tells me I have 70 something hours, maybe 80 hours played at this point.
Wow.
I've got it down.
Yeah.
To pretty comfortable.
In which class did you start with in your solo play?
In my solo play, I did a warlock.
Okay, and how was that?
I like playing him. I'm a big fan. I play warlocks on World of Warcraft. I basically play like a warlock on Skyrim. Magic and fighting. I kind of like the balance.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it in this game. It took me a long time to learn how to play. That's another thing. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, and this game's you're not only controlling your character, but you also have to control and learn how to play these 4 other characters in classes of a game you don't know what you're doing with.
Which can be annoying, but I also appreciated it because it got me to play classes that I never would play normally.
Exactly.
And learn how they play.
Mm-hmm. And it helps you. You teach me and I teach you is the game.
Right.
Very Pokemon method in it.
Very, very.
Because you're learning. If this class is good at this, then maybe this class should be doing this. I had everybody just an attacker when I started out.
Yeah, it's not very apparent how to use the classes.
It doesn't teach you how to play the game in the game. You learn.
Yeah,
you learn how to play.
It's D&D on the surface for newcomers seems very complicated, and it can be at certain points. But once it's very easy to ease into if you just give it a little time, and you figure out how certain things work. And it's not. In the end, it's not super complicated.
I didn't know
how majority of it's on dice rolls.
I didn't know how I felt about it for the first chunk of playing it, and then all of a sudden it went from this game that I was I paid the money, people seem to like it, I'm gonna keep playing, to I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to play for a couple hours
Right.
before work, or
Because you get invested into the story, you get invested into how to play your character and to grow them and get them to be stronger. Because the game gets really fun once you start to become like powerful.
once you know what you're doing, it's almost set to like you're gonna suck the first like 3 or 4 levels.
Yeah, that's very intentional.
Once you get to level 4, though, you're starting to miss less and
and even like
get your
so for
skill points up.
a lot of like new Dungeons and Dragons players, I don't know how true this is, but I just noticed it as like a kind of trope within the fandom or whatever, that like a lot of the like new campaigns, players start off fighting like goblins or fight like a goblin threat,
Sure.
which is what they did in this game.
Yeah.
Like you start off fighting
First big thing is the goblins. Yeah.
who like seem pretty formidable at first, but like once you level up a few times, you one-shot them pretty easily.
Yes.
And then you progressively fight harder and harder enemies as you go on and as your character
Progressively and also kind of quickly and sometimes out of nowhere. Sometimes you'll stumble it because it is a very open world RPG and you can stumble into a very overpowered area when you're not ready for it.
which I appreciate. It like you said, it doesn't like hold your hand through things like
And
there are
because of that, you get better at it. So
right.
It's like, thank you.
You just have to figure out like, okay, I'm not ready for that yet, or you got to strategize and figure out a way to get past it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't tell you where to go. Like I said, I got lost.
Try things. It's a game that you're just like, I'm gonna try and see if this works. And most of the time, you can at least try and still have to roll the dice to see if it works. But like, there's a door. It's locked. What if I shoot a fireball at it? Boom! You take it. It's got hit points. You blow. You don't have to find the key. The door.
It took me a while to figure out that I could just
Things
bust
like
down
that.
doors because I was lock picking them all the time.
Oh my god! Yeah, you can just or like when Jared picked up that dead body and threw it at a guy. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could just pick up dead bodies.
And there was like
people. Makes sense.
so many little details and features that are added in, like in our co-op campaign that we're going through right now.
See,
We
such
found
a
out
good time.
if you kill the people at the gate guard thing that are supposed to open up the gate, like,
Right.
the gate won't open anymore. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, so you better to leave it open because if you close
Which
it,
sounds like a really simple thing, but like it was very cool how they built that into the mechanics. Like something that 99% of players probably wouldn't even
you
encounter.
just killed those people. When Jared was standing by the door, it wasn't moving. I was just like, oh my god, no way. I never thought about like there's a character programmed up there to open and close the door, and we killed him.
I don't even remember why.
He saw us killing. Jared had the goblin that he broke out of jail, and the one person didn't believe him about it, and we had to fight her. And while we were fighting her, he saw and started fighting us.
And the funny part is that the goblin didn't even survive.
No, the goblin that we broke out was dead before we even left the town.
Yep. So we
got nothing out of that. And
we killed like
it.
5.
It's a game that the decisions you make, you are truly. I mean, you can F5 save and go back to alone, which I do a lot. But we're kind of not playing that in our co-op.
Which I like.
Yeah,
because
me
we're
too.
definitely playing differently than how I would play solo.
Absolutely,
And
we are.
we're
it's pretty
seeing
fun.
different aspects of the game that way.
Yeah, and literally different. Like it's a game. The story in this game is so fucking massive.
Yeah.
Every decision has a branching basic reality of what the game's gonna do. Every decision. So it's just like we're playing this co-op campaign together after we've all sunk loads of times in the main story. We're starting over and we're just seeing things together for the first time. Some of us like, oh, I didn't see this.
Which happened to all of us.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
So that's fun. It's just
You would be talking about things that I had no clue about. In
vice
the game,
versa.
Vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very neat that way. Like, and it makes it like it's designed to be as replayable as possible
and
to get a different experience.
I would say it is. I'm working my ass off because it's a hard game. So I'm working my ass off through the main story, but I look very much forward to the co-op campaign that we're doing. Yeah. We have a pretty good time.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's a very different experience playing it co-op than in solo. For one, you only control
one character.
Your character, so you get more invested into like the role-playing aspect of it because you're not like all these
managing
characters.
4 people, which can be. That's one of the flaws in some areas. Is it is difficult to manage 4 people in their inventories all at once.
Yeah,
but just worrying about yourself, loving it.
And it allows for a lot of neat things to happen because you're all playing differently.
Yeah,
and not like not just one person playing 4 characters the exact same way.
Yeah, and like one of us could do something that affects all of us, and we didn't.
Yeah. You guys were having a conversation with a guy, and I shot him in the head.
Right, mid-conversation, the dead is trying to fight people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, the cutscene just ended right there. As soon as you shot, and we were both, me and Jim were like, what happened? You happened.
Yeah.
Or like when you were in prison and I had to go help fucking Bailey out. We just were like, close the door, we'll kill these guards.
Yeah, which was fun.
It's fine. And nobody knew.
No one knew. Yeah, I really thought we were going to have to
fight the whole town.
Murder everyone in that town.
Yeah. That sucked. Yeah, I remember the part where we decided we weren't doing like go back season unless we die.
Right.
Like when it was like we can go back, and it was like, nope, the dog's dead. We're moving on.
Yeah.
That's the decision we made. It is sad because he's a cool character and you missed him in your first play.
For sure. I also missed the owlbear cub. I didn't even know you could have pets.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's such a big. Anybody out there that has a computer, I think it's on PlayStation 5 now, but like. Play this fucking game. Download it. Start it. Even if you're having trouble with it at first, keep going. It's totally worth it.
I definitely think this is going to boost the popularity of D&D more than it's already been growing, just because a lot of people who would never normally play D&D, because it's kind of hard to find people who know what they're doing playing it. This is an opportunity for them to be introduced to the world and the game style. And
I'm interested in playing Dungeons and Dragons with people now that I've played this game. I think this game is still my favorite possible way to play it.
You would think that, but
I'm interested in playing actual Dungeons.
Doing a full like actual Dungeons and Dragons campaign is pretty fun. It can take a long time, like longer than playing through a video game, but it comes with its own unique experiences of like actually interacting with.
Well, if playing it with friends like that is as fun as playing Baldur's Gate with you and Jared, I'm all in, because man, I mean, we were pretty business the second night. I still had fun, but we were like more business.
Right.
But the first night we had a freaking blast.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. We had laughs.
Camp with our ding dongs hanging out.
Ding dongs out chasing people. It was It was fun. I had a really good time because it was funny. I was playing my campaign the next morning. And it's hard. I'm in the middle of maybe the end of Act 2, middle or end. It's very fucking hard. And every decision you make, it's still fun, but it's hard. And I accidentally loaded our game first, and it like brought me to where we were. And it was like this like feeling of just joy and relief. And like, man, I would like to play this one. This is a happy spot.
Yeah,
but I gotta go back to hell. Yeah, I fucking love that game. Cannot say enough about it. We went to the Renaissance Fair this weekend, and I felt like I was in Baldur's Gate. You know what I mean?
Right.
All dressed up, and Jake is interested in downloading it, and maybe joining us to play as well.
He definitely can. Well, we found out that you can make it your own character still, right?
Yes, you can. That's at least what I've read. Miranda's gonna join us as well, so we're gonna see with her. But I read that, yeah. But I had her log in the other night when I re-downloaded it on my computer, and she was just like your character. But I think if you and Jared are in, and she comes in, she has to create a new character.
That's interesting that my character is still like molded into the.
Oh yeah, you're still just standing there. Like when I loaded my game that day by myself by accident, you and Jared's characters were just standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. If like you
don't move, they didn't do anything.
Like we're not playable.
Mm-mm. Then like Shadowheart's with you, so she's just standing next to you.
Right, she's my thrall.
Yeah.
Because you refuse to play her.
No, I don't. That's what I said. I play all 4 characters enough in the main story. I don't want to control any fucking extra
Now I get it, and I don't mind.
But if Miranda's in there, or even Jake from time to time, then we don't gotta worry about controlling.
You can
enjoy just playing you.
Right. No, I don't mind playing Shadowheart.
Yeah. I just knew the part where I had to play. Yeah.
My guy's thing is kind of controlling animals and creatures to fight for me.
Are you going to romance her?
I don't know. Can we all romance her?
I don't know. I don't want to. Sherry thinks she's my girlfriend in the main story.
Right. You don't like
I don't want to do it again. So
she's like into commit.
Oh, she's so annoying. God, she's so. I mean, it's flattering. It's a game, so I'm like, we'll keep this. I'm glad
like
it's here, but I am. Every time I talk to her, it's like, is that what butterflies in my stomach mean? And I was like, dude, can we talk?
Can we talk business for a second?
I every time.
Focus. We're in the fucking lava cave right now.
Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, Lae'zel's just like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah, she scares me
Yeah,
in a good way.
nothing. Yeah, she's strong. And Karthak. My plan for our
Karlak's the
playthrough,
best character.
my plan for our new playthrough is to romance Karlak because my character is a tiefling just like her.
Oh, so like it's a race thing.
It's not a race thing though because she's also
You know what? No,
no,
mixing
she's
blood.
also a cool character.
Can't have any.
I like
half
Karlak as
bloods.
well. In my head, I'm like, man, if Shadowheart wasn't fucking following me all around all the time, I'd at least considered romancing her in like my main story because she's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we all should romance someone just because I want to see how that plays out.
sure, yeah,
If it
the
does
different
anything.
scenarios, but yeah, I'm more because honestly, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about the romancing, but if I'm going to, I would like my tiefling character to romance Karlak.
I did make a like. Why make me make a dick if I'm not going to see it? So I do want to see it in action just to see what that's like.
Do you see it in action?
I don't know. I've never gotten to the sex scenes yet.
Me neither.
I tried romancing Shadowheart the first night, and she just wanted to talk about her feelings.
Yeah, you told me that. See, my character talked about feelings, and then we made out, and I was like, oh,
Well, we did kiss. We did
okay.
kiss, but I was just like, I kissed and it faded to black, and I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, okay, thank God this is done and we can move on.
Right. No, I wanted that
Yeah.
dragon bussy
Bussy?
to be seen. Yeah. The bussy.
I mean, maybe you will. I don't know.
I can't.
Other than that and like her being a fucking annoying bitch all the time, I have not seen anything else happen with Shadowheart. Other than her being like, glad to see you. Like, oh my God, me too.
Right.
Fuck. But Karlak is a cool character.
Karlak's cool. She's confident.
I see. I want my guy to get with her in this one. I'm like his dad, and I'm like, that's a really good girl. You should date her. Is how I'm feeling about Karlak and Mike because like in my main quest game, I wouldn't romance Karlak. I think we have a cool friendship. I'm like, she's fucking cool. I'm glad she's my boy.
She's your buddy.
But like in this other mindset, I'm like, I want my son to be with that person that I think is really cool.
Right.
So we'll get him, buddy.
So are you locked into romance with Shadowheart?
Definitely.
Yeah. It sucks that it locks you in that early.
Yeah.
Can't change your mind. Although
I could do things to like ruin it, but at the same time, I'm like, I need her.
Right.
Yeah.
Need her on your good side.
I can't not.
Yeah, because
not
I
have
did
her in our
get
team.
locked into a romance with Shadowheart, and Lae'zel did proposition me to have sex
Oh yeah.
later on, but I said no
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't want to fuck up what we got
You're a
going
good
on.
guy, Fraser.
I want to eventually see some titties.
Ladies out there that are that's watching our show, I mean, you're single.
Yeah.
This is the kind of guy Brayden
This
is.
is the kind of guy.
Well, he's a good guy. Give him a chit chat.
Anything for the.
But don't give him a chit. This is not me trying to use our power for people to date you. I just think
Yeah, that would be weird.
I just care about my friend. Would be
Thanks,
happy.
buddy. You sound like my mother.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's Baldur's Gate. We just went in the row. There's battling. There's mostly battling.
Battling.
Rolling the dice. Sometimes you
Stealing.
get out of the battles entirely, but it's a game that just
Sneakery.
lets you play around in like Dungeons and Dragons set.
Yep. You can just push people off cliffs. It's really funny.
I killed a main big boss by just fucking shoving him off the edge.
Very funny.
Skipped it entirely. Got the experience.
Yep.
Thank fucking Christ, dude, because that was tough. That was a tough fight.
Although can't you can't loot them then?
You can't loot them then. But
They probably
there's
had
so
something
much
on.
shit that it's like, whatever if I miss
Yeah.
one person's shit that I might not even use.
So this is also interesting. One of the we pretty much all had a main character that we missed in our initial playthrough.
Yes.
I missed Karlak for a while. I eventually found her, but I missed her pretty much the entirety of Act 1.
And you missed the owlbear and the dog.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Who didn't Jared miss Asterion?
I missed the
You
stereo.
missed Asterion. You also missed Gale.
Yeah.
You missed two people.
I missed two people in time.
Yeah. Who did Jared miss?
I don't know.
He said he missed someone too.
Lae'zel.
Jared missed Lae'zel for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with Gale, with his story, he has this condition that he has to like consume magical artifacts.
Right.
And I thought like, oh man, this is gonna suck if I have to keep feeding this guy magical artifacts or something bad's gonna happen. But it's not. It works itself out later on, and you also like once you get like a bit into the game, finding magical artifacts is not hard.
Not at all, yeah.
They're everywhere.
Don't you have to? You don't have to always give him. Doesn't get to a point where he doesn't need to take them.
He eats 2, and then he's like, "This isn't enough." And then it like progresses his main quest line.
Nice.
So you don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, and it's good that we're all playing together because now he's I can get to see some of his shit with our playthrough because I missed him. He's still stuck in a fucking rock somewhere in my game, and I don't think I can even go back there to get him now.
Well, and same thing with Asterion. Asterion.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, when you find out, spoiler, that he's a vampire.
You find that out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not like pretty quickly. He fucking kills me the first night.
Yeah.
He sucks my blood because I just let him do it.
I did not.
And I didn't like do any rolls to like get him off me because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll become a vampire or something. That'd be sick. And yeah, he just wakes up and my character's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before I knew that you could like revive characters with revivify.
Thanks for all.
And so yeah, I had to reload my save. But yeah, just like shit like that, it doesn't hold back. It's like you are dead now.
Mm-hmm.
You either play.
You can always go back to the dead body later in the game, really at any point, and use the scroll.
Yeah.
But other than that, your character
they're gone.
Or the dead character, fucking dead, unless you do something about it.
Yep. Which is cool.
Yeah. But you had to reload because you didn't want to be dead.
Yeah. This is definitely an F5.
F5, F8, spammer.
Yep.
Yeah, you can choose pretty quick.
Because there's nothing worse than like forgetting to F5.
And having to go back.
Fight
like, a whole battle over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking.
Which we had to do that a few times.
That was not fun, but yeah.
But it was good as at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Still good though. Still fun. God, loving it. So like I said, this is a game that is definitely a contender for Game of the Year for me. It's fucking.
I would definitely bet money on it competing for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to get as sucked into a game as I did with Zelda, but with this, I certainly have.
Yeah, and no one expected, well, especially the creators did not expect it to have this kind of success.
Isn't that all fucking creators when their shit's popular?
Right.
Shocked I am. I believe them.
Yeah, no, I believe them.
So, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
Play it. Do it.
Bitch.
Yeah.
You won't. You're a coward.
Or else you're a hot potato.
So, with that out of the way, I just wanted to talk about a couple things real quick. Books I read.
Okay.
In the time that since we saw each other. I said on the last podcast that I was going to start the Lemony Snicket books. And I did. I read the first 3 really quick.
Yeah, the short books.
Yeah, you've read them all? No. Okay. They're small books. I would read one in like a day. And I got really into it. I really like those books. They're definitely interesting. The way they're written are really fun because it's written like through Lemony Snicket, who's also a character, his like way of describing things. So you have somebody just sometimes giving you the plot,
right?
But not all of it, being like, well, this character's gonna die. And you're like, oh, when's that gonna... Just like things like that about it I really liked. I gotta keep going. There's definitely like a backstory with it. But I ran into a little bit of a wall with that. Not that the enjoyment level went down. Like I said, I read 3 books back to back to back in like 2 days. We watched the first episode of the Netflix series.
I was going to ask, did you watch the Netflix?
So my goal, I've been starting to do this thing where like, if I know a show is based on a book, I'll try to storm so much of the book so I can watch some of the show. And I saw like every 2 episodes is like a book. I was like, oh, let's watch the first episode. We'll start it. And I was really enjoying it. It had that effect of like, I just read the book.
Right.
So I'm like completely comparing it. You should always put a little time between, which I liked. Except it got to the end of the episode, the first episode, and there was a massive big plot, spoiler as far as I'm concerned, that I hadn't run into any like even hint of by the end of book 3 that I was just like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, that's a humongous spoiler. And that alone just kind of like, it's like, I'm going to keep reading. I plan on finishing the series. It's off to a fun, interesting, good start. They're nice little mysteries and they tie together really well. But man, did that spoiler like...
Was it like the answer to a mystery that you didn't know yet?
I didn't even know this was something that was a mystery. It's something that like is just the premise. And then they were like, actually not. That's not actually what's happening here. And it was just like, oh, like, why did they throw that in the end of the first episode? Maybe it works better for the show entirely, but like, fuck, man, it was big. It was essentially, I'll give you like a little hint. It's like, a or more characters that you are led to presume are dead are just alive somewhere else. And I was like, I didn't even think that was possible.
Oh, are one of them played by Kobe Smulders?
I honestly didn't see who was playing who.
Robin from How I Met.
No, I mean, I know who that is. I just don't know. I don't think it was her. Right now I can't think of who the actors were that were playing the characters that I'm talking about. But it was just
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it never feels good to be.
So that stopped me in my tracks, but I did enjoy what I read of it. The next series I got into that I really, really did like a lot, and I'm working through the second book right now. The Golden Compass movie came out.
Yeah.
His Dark Materials, the trilogy. So I started reading those, and I finished the first book, and we started watching the HBO show as well.
Right.
Also a better adaptation. They just changed things here and there, but story is still there, so that's good. And there's no big spoilers as long as you keep to the episodes. Have you ever read the book?
No, I had an ex-girlfriend who read them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, no, not cool.
No, fuck. Well, let me try to make it fun for you again. The premise is really cool. Like, the series is based in this world. It's like a counter Earth. It's like a different universe Earth.
I know the premise.
Yeah.
She told me
But people listening might not, so I just want to fill in everybody. And you have characters, and every person in this world has a demon, which is like a little animal that is like their partner, and they're like connected. Like, if you hurt the animal,
familiar.
It hurts the person. Yeah. So that's really cool. And it's in this world where this girl gets this item that allows her to, like, I don't even know. It's like, not really kill people. But it's like a magic 8-ball. Like, she can see where things are and what's going on. It's the Golden Compass, essentially. But, like, she's just on a quest to originally, like, find her friend and find her uncle.
Is her demon the bear?
Her demon is not the bear. The bear is actually a race of, a part of, like, a race. She has a demon. He, like, changes. So when you're young, when you're a kid, your demon can, like, change form and stuff. But when you, like, turn 18 because of puberty, because of this stuff called dust, they take a form and stay that way. But the main girl, she's like 12 or 11, so her familiar changes throughout. The polar bear is just a companion she meets along the way.
Got it.
Yeah, I thought that too going into it. I was like, oh, is this guy supposed to be like the polar bear? And no, very different. Very graphic series and very dark series, but very interesting series. I was very compelled by the first book. I got kind of stuck in the second one, not because it wasn't good. I just started playing a lot of video games, but
right. It's usually the rub with me trying to read books.
I dug it quite a bit. Now, we did start watching the show, like I said, and the show started introducing this character that wasn't prominent where I was in the books. I dubbed him the spoiler because I was like, he was doing things throughout this, like, even the second episode that I was like, whoa, I didn't even know this was what this kind of story was. Like, he was just doing these things that I could clearly tell took place later on in the books.
Right.
But I didn't know. And every time he'd show up, I'd be like, oh, fuck, it's the spoiler. Like, we kind of made a joke about it. I was like, oh, fuck, here comes the spoiler. Get ready. I said something along the lines like, oh, man, coming in hot to spoil that plot. Could he just beeline in this one scene? So that was a little scary. So if you really want to get in the series and you want to read the books before you watch the show, read all the books, then watch the show. Because there is a character that does something that, like, in the second episode is something that isn't even discussed until, like, the second episode or the second chapter of the second book.
Right.
So that was something. But it becomes like a multiverse type of series, but does it in a more interesting way than, like, Marvel does. But yeah.
Well, cool. I'm glad that you're also reading some books.
I am.
New nerd shit.
I've even left stuff out today just because I knew we had a lot to talk about.
For sure.
That's just some of them. I recommend the series. I'm working my way through the second one. Maybe once I finish all of it, I'll have more. I know I didn't really go into what the show was about.
Right.
It's hard to do without spoiling a lot, but high fantasy, interesting, characters, cool adventure.
Animal companions.
Which
I love.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I want a little animal companion.
You have a few on our Baldur's Gate campaign, so yeah. And so that's what I got. That's what's going on with me. So
yeah.
So yeah, what do we want to talk about next?
So we got the two main games out of the way. Those have been sucking up most of my time.
My time as well.
I'm trying to think. Do we want to talk? Have you seen any of Ahsoka?
I have seen a lot of Ahsoka.
All right. Well,
I've actually tried to record 2 videos for the YouTube channel talking about how I feel about Ahsoka.
okay.
And it has not gone well. And I just think this is probably the better spot for it.
The recording hasn't gone well, or the review hasn't gone well?
Just me. I'll get started, and it's a lot harder to put a camera in front of your face and record you talking about something that
rather than have someone to bounce off of.
Yes. So I haven't.
I get that.
Yeah, but I mean, have you seen any of Ahsoka?
I've seen 2 episodes.
Oh, dude. 3 and 4 are fucking awesome. So I'll get into how I feel about Ahsoka.
Yeah. Yeah, you should start.
I'm really liking it. I'm really liking it quite a bit. I'm into it a lot, and there's a few reasons for that. One, very quickly in the first episode, did I feel an atmosphere in the show that reminded me of how I felt as a kid reading post Return of the Jedi content.
Oh, okay.
Like, it had that same atmosphere with what was going on that I had when I read that shit. I also like how it started with a crawl. Not your normal Star Wars crawl,
right?
But it had a crawl, and I was like, that's important for Star Wars. And then it got to the opening scene where they get onto the ship, and they, the bad guy's there with his apprentice, and
what's his name?
Balin, and Shay, I think is her name, and I just loved it. I loved it immediately.
The opening scene I did think was really good,
super good, and one of the things I hear a lot of people complaining about that scene, because they'll talk about, I can't believe that guy just let them on the ship. Like, what a stupid plan. And I was just like, this is me talking to all Star Wars people out there. And I don't know, I know we all have different feelings and opinion on what is Star Wars. But I'm going to tell you what Star Wars isn't. It's not Christopher Nolan level content.
It's always been campy.
It's melodrama. And people get so ridiculous. Like, we got Andor, and that's quality writing, but like, that's not Star Wars all the time,
right?
Yes, they're gonna let the bad guys on the ship. It's a stupid move, but it's melodrama. It happens. I definitely
think it's more within spirit of
Star Wars,
older Star Wars.
Yes. So when I see people complaining about like Star Wars to this level, I'm just like, it's not, it's not Oppenheimer. It's fucking Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, the entire opening scene of Return of the Jedi is a plan that does not make a ton of sense, but it works out.
But it's great. And it's just crazy when I hear people bitching about like things like that. And when I'm just really liking the show, is it slow at points? 100%.
Yeah.
But is Star Wars also slow at points? A New Hope is a slow as fuck movie, and it is arguably what people consider to be
one of the best
Star Wars movie. So it's just like, what do you want? You know what I mean? And I'm loving the story. I'm loving where it's going. The first 2 episodes set up a good base, and then 3 and 4 have action in them out the wazoo that action with story, and I'm loving it. And it's like it's building upon Star Wars, like where Star Wars content comes out, it's usually just like Force Awakens, for instance. Even though I love it, it is a reboot it's a very safe reboot of Episode 4. Everybody knows this, but it's good and it works. But like what this stuff is doing is like branching out and trying to create some new things entirely. Like the spoiler, but like one of the concepts of the show is there's a map that leads, and they're following these whales to get to a character who got transported to a separate galaxy. So we're going out of like we're going galaxy jumping essentially, which isn't something Star Wars does.
It's always been an A galaxy.
But now we're going to another one. So they're and I'm okay with that. I think that's a really cool, especially how they explain how it works and how to do it. I'm like, okay, that's interesting, because that can introduce characters. There's a species in the Legends Star Wars, now considered Legend, but the old expanded universe, called the Yuuzhan Vong, and they're this threat from another galaxy.
Yeah, I know the Yuuzhan Vong.
And
I've heard of them before, at least.
I think that's going to be cool if that's the kind of direction they go with this, or at least gives the opportunity to bring them in. And that helps with that feel. Like I remember reading post Return of the Jedi content, and it always had this like darker feel to it. And like we have these witches that are now a part of the series. You know what I mean? We have like this other ways of controlling and using the Force. And I'm all on board with it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that they're trying to expand the universe, because I think that's been a lot of the main criticism leveled at newer Star Wars, or Star Wars in general, is that they kind of stick to the same.
And it's scary too.
Stuff.
Because if they don't, some people might not like
exactly.
It depends on what you do.
That's always been the paradox with trying to please the Star Wars fandom, is that like in order to like adapt and continue to be good, you have to change some things, but at the same time you can't get away from the original spirit of Star Wars at all, because you'll piss people like the original fans off.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line to walk.
Yeah.
With adapting anything Star Wars.
And they're walking it.
Yeah.
And some people like it. Some people don't, for whatever reason or another. And I'm just glad they're doing it. Even though it might not work for everybody. It probably won't work for everybody. The last thing Star Wars wise that I think worked for everybody, other than Andor, and I'm not even sure of Andor. I know we really like him, but some people don't.
Some people don't.
But I think the one thing that the world agreed on the last time was the introduction of Grogu as not as Baby Yoda, but he wasn't Grogu. When we saw that Baby Yoda, everybody in the Star Wars world was like, we do like that, though.
Right.
And I just don't know if we'll ever see that again with Star Wars.
It's hard to say.
I don't think this is it.
Yeah.
But I like it. I guess that's what's important.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I hope you watch up the rest of it. I hope 3 and 4 are pretty solid. 4 ends with this crazy kind of cliffhanger ending.
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue watching it eventually. Mm-hmm. I think the issue for me with this show, I didn't not like it, but I also wasn't like super enamored with it. I definitely think for me personally, it's falling victim to a bit of like Star Wars fatigue, where it's just like, for one thing, I loved the Clone Wars, but Ahsoka was never my favorite character of that show. Like, I know she's like beloved in the fandom. I just never really cared much for her. I always liked seeing Obi-Wan and Anakin a lot more. And then secondly, I don't give a shit about Rebels. I've watched season 1 of Rebels and didn't really like it, which I hear that it does get better, and I'll maybe eventually get back to that too. Yeah. But it's two things that are like the main focus of the show that like I didn't have that initial care for going into it, and I felt like a lot of the scenes were like not trying to make me care about it. It's just assuming I already care about it, because it's like, we're going to go get Ezra. Like, we're going to go, which I guess spoilers for episode 1, but it's revealed pretty.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, that's the plot of the show.
That's the plot of the show. It's like, we're going to go get Ezra. And I'm like, great. I don't give a shit about Ezra. I don't care if I see him. And so
I think for people like you in particular, and you're a group of people that are also part of the Star Wars.
Right.
Losers. No, I'm just kidding. But of people who haven't watched Rebels and have no connection. So like, this show by the end, I think, has a job for you guys to make you give a shit about these characters by the time it's over. Because for me, I know the characters, so I do like it right out the gate.
Right.
The story within the show itself does need to do a good enough job in it that by the end of it, someone like you now likes these characters or
stand on its own
about them
without just assuming you're already a fan of these two previous properties.
You kind of got to go into it the way you would the first time you've ever seen Star Wars, where they're talking about characters and names. And episode 4.
Yeah.
And you just go along with it because you're like, they seem to know what's going on. And then by the end of the movie, you're in love with these characters. And that's kind of what the show, that's how I think you need to go into the show with, is like, I know there's a backstory here, but I don't know it. And see if by the end of it, if it's won you over.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm hoping the characters get better, because I think Rosario Dawson's doing a fine job playing Ahsoka, but I feel like this has been kind of a problem with a lot of like modern Disney Star Wars. It's like a lot of the actors don't really show a lot of range with like emotions, or like it's a lot of just like normal talk or like serious talking to each other. And
I'll say this, just in these next 2 episodes, you get a little more of that. Not like too much. But
and, and I'm not even just talking about like, oh, like they'll make a quip here or there because like
no,
every, like
yeah,
every
no,
Star
I
Wars
know,
character
I know,
has a
I know, I
quip.
know.
That's just in general, but like something that like makes them a distinct person and not just a person who looks like a character I vaguely know, talk to other people in a monotone voice.
As the episodes, even just with the 2 that's come out since then, I think they've given a little more of that. There are some moments.
That's the thing. I'm also very aware that like I've only watched 2 episodes and it very much could get better for me. It was just hard for me to stay invested for like those first 2 episodes because I didn't care too much about the characters and I did think it was slow in parts. And I also just in general have that Star Wars fatigue where like unless if something's like radically different from what I've normally been seeing, like not just like Mandalorian-esque or like stuff like that, like Andor was, it's harder for me to like give a shit about it.
Like and I think that show has a like for me it's working for me because I'm pretty up to date with all things Star Wars and the things I said I liked about it beforehand that the show is doing for me. But I will say in the next 2 episodes that follow the ones you've watched, you do see more of the characters being more character-y, and the story starts going along a lot better, and they introduce some things. They like there's a scene where you kind of see Ahsoka she doesn't per se use the dark side, but she definitely uses the Force out of an emotion, and you see that like Rosario Dawson is very calm in the first few of it, but you do start to see more of like
more range.
And there's something that happens at the end of the episode, the 4th episode, that makes her have to like it's like she becomes her Clone Wars self,
right? Which I think
cool.
I would enjoy more because at least with her Clone Wars self, she has a more vibrant personality.
She's not gonna stay that way through the show, but in the moment that's happening, it's like Revertigo. If you heard of Revertigo, it's from How I Met Your Mother, where you act like an older version of yourself when you're with somebody from your past. Yeah, that's kind of what happens.
I know what the spoiler is.
You did, I'm sure.
I saw it on.
Okay, good. I mean, just that alone, Anakin.
Which I would like.
Force Ghost Anakin.
Yeah, which I would enjoy. I'm excited seeing because, like I said, she wasn't my favorite part about the Clone Wars, but I did appreciate that she, had her role to play. I didn't hate her as a character. I just wasn't like. She's the best character of that show because I liked Anakin.
If you would watch all of Clone Wars, you'd start to see where she goes as a character. But I'm not gonna be like.
I've seen all of Clone Wars.
You've seen all of it, and you still didn't like Ahsoka that much?
Oh, I liked Ahsoka by the end, but again, she still wasn't like my favorite character.
That's fair.
I just thought I just really appreciated Clone Wars for like making Anakin how Anakin was actually supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like you definitely see it a lot more. And then, not to bash on Hayden Christensen, but it was a script.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to see him do whatever he's gonna do.
Right.
In episode 5, I'm so looking forward to the next episode. I know people feel weird about the World Between Worlds place, but like, let's see what it does before we make a full decision on how this goes.
For sure.
I'm excited to see him act some more. I hope the only problem I had with the scene, he looks rough.
Old, because he's old.
No, he doesn't look old. That's the problem. He looks they use some strong computer de-aging on him. And it looks very weird. Like the scene came on and I was so pumped to see Anakin, but then I was also like, oh God, why does he look like that? I mean,
how old is Hayden Christensen? He's 40s, right?
He's 40s, but I'm telling you what, man, if they would have just did nothing with him,
just let it,
he would have looked fine.
Like he'll look like a guy in his 40s, but at the same I mean, I get Anakin was supposed to be
the problem is
younger, but
when Obi-Wan came out and they showed the flashback scene, they didn't de-age the motherfucker, and he looks old as like 20-year-old Anakin, and it's like, well, now he's like older Anakin. You don't have to de-age him now, and he's a Force ghost. Like, you just fucking leave him be.
Right.
It looked weird.
They definitely overthought it.
I hope it was just for a quick scene, and when we see him in a full episode, it's just because you have Hayden. What are you doing to him?
Yeah, it's like we've had this de-aging technology, and God damn it, we're gonna use it in every one of our properties.
It's ridiculous, and I don't hate it when it's good or when it's necessary. But I just felt like when I saw that, I was like, that scene would have done a lot better for me if it looked like him. So we'll see. I think the episode's going to be good. I have a really good feeling about it, and I have a good feeling about this show.
Good.
I haven't seen it. Hasn't had any big writing issues quite like Mando season 3 or Obi-Wan had either. So it's like, cool. Stick to what you're making. Make it good. Have some campiness. It's Star Wars. Have fun where you need to. Leave it at that. But yeah, I hope by the end of it you do take to it.
You'll have to tell me how it progresses if it gets like.
I'll keep you posted.
Really good. I mean, obviously no major spoilers, but I will probably hit the major spoilers anyways.
If you've already seen the Anakin thing.
Yeah.
So
that was hard for the internet to keep a lid on.
Yeah. I mean, it's really awesome. I'm so excited to see. I'm excited. I like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I like that they brought him. That's one thing I wanted the sequel movies to do, was do something with him as a Force ghost, and they didn't. It was just like, if you go back to 2015, Chase is sitting in a room watching people talk about the upcoming Force Awakens and the story and how it's gonna go, and there is a me that's just thinking like, oh man, I wonder if like episode 8 or 9, like Force Ghost Anakin shows up, and never happened. Got his voice in the Rise of Skywalker.
I think they are starting to use Force Ghosts a lot more now, though.
Fine with me. Use them well.
They could do the Force Ghosts even have powers now.
Yeah. Which also fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
It's the fucking Force.
They're still a part of the Force, so imagine it makes sense they can still use the Force.
So, yeah, show me that. But, yeah, I don't know. I probably had a lot more to say about Ahsoka. I definitely tried to squeeze a lot into my video that I was trying to make, but I think that's good enough.
I think that's good enough for me, too. I don't have much else to say about it. Yeah, I recognize that it's not a bad show, but I'm just waiting to see more of like reviews to come out to get me to invest in it a bit more.
Let me keep you posted.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of crap on Reddit.
Yeah, I try not to read that stuff. Yeah. But I just saw the Force Anakin in a thumbnail.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, any thumbnail or like YouTube video, most people try to like give that picture make it look a little better. So like anything I'd seen online about it, it's always like a clearer image of it, so it looks a lot nicer. But when I watched that shit live on my TV, I was like, that looks rough, dude. So we'll see. It's whatever. It doesn't need to look perfect as long as it's good. As long as it's good. So we have another show to talk about.
For sure. Could we all guess what it is?
Me and you?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
Is it The Voice?
Yes, it is The Voice.
Wow, dude, the season of The Voice.
That's so good.
Nuts.
I can't wait to see Blake Shelton tear it up.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's still on The Voice anymore.
No, don't watch it.
Yeah.
We don't really know.
I guess
I just picked the show.
The Voice. Sorry for anyone, for fans of The Voice. The Voice is about to catch a few strays here. Who do you know from The Voice that has actually become famous? Can anyone name a winner of The Voice that is still active?
I wouldn't know. Like a new singer could come out and I wouldn't know that they were from The Voice.
No, the answer is no one. I've not heard of anyone winning The Voice actually becoming like a super famous new pop star.
I wouldn't know. I'd have to look into who the winners are. I'd have to go see if I do any other songs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. But the real show we're talking about, do you have more to say about The Voice?
No, yeah.
Are you sure?
For another time.
No, if you want to, I want to.
No, we'll continue the Voice criticism later.
Okay, we'll save some time at the end, maybe. But we're here to talk about the live action One Piece episode
shows. Yep.
Show on Netflix. Shout out to Netflix. Pay your writers.
Yes, please.
One Piece.
Yeah.
It was something that for a while, and Braden was too, don't let him fool you.
No, I've never said that. I never not criticized it. I just started to feel optimistic later on.
He did, but I'm just saying, we were worried and we did not feel good about for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as soon as they announced a live action One Piece, I was like, can't do it.
Me too.
It's gonna suck.
I actually listened to an old recording where we talk about like when they first got it, and we were both just like, what the fuck?
Even when I remember when they first casted the actors for it, and I was just like, oh, it looks like they got some good picks. It's a shame that all of these nice young actors are going to ruin their careers
Right.
attaching their name to
Yes.
this product that is definitely going to suck still.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, as the news went on,
Life continued.
you know, things that would slowly get me to pique my interest, like for the fact that Oda is pretty much has to sign off on everything in the series.
Heavily
He's
involved here.
very
He was
involved,
Very involved. Helped.
which is great.
You want
So I
that?
was like, well, that's good.
It puts a little edge on things too, though, because if it sucks, and it's like it sucked, and even
Right.
that,
I was like, okay, the stakes are getting higher because it's good that Oda's involved, but it's also bad because if it sucks, yeah, it's gonna hurt his reputation.
Yep.
And so, yeah, as the months went on, eventually a trailer dropped. And what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you,
What did we
what
think?
did we think of the trailer?
So when we first watched the trailer, we laughed at it and did not like it.
Yeah,
Did not
hated
feel
it.
good. Did not feel good at all. That first trailer surprisingly won a lot of you motherfuckers online over, but did not win me over.
I didn't see
even
it.
a little. It was not good.
We were very worried.
That did not help the worry. Helped a lot of people's worry, it seemed like. Not ours.
And I guess just for context, like, we'd also just come off of Cowboy Bebop not too long ago, which sucked.
Right.
And other Netflix anime adaptations like Death Note suck.
Yeah.
Death Note, the live action is funny, but it sucks.
Not good.
It's not good. It's
And
just
it's
funny.
not funny not trying to be funny.
It's not trying to be funny. It's just funny in like how much
Bad
they
it is.
fumbled the ball.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got a second trailer. And I also this is the second trailer won Braden over. It
I still didn't like it.
I still was like,
You're still worried.
And honestly, the things I had problems with that second trailer are problems that I have with the show. It was very prominent in those trailers that they didn't fix for me.
Right.
But
I was starting to get more optimistic because, like I said, like there's progressively more positive news dripping out about it that at least seemed like it had a shot. With like the fact that Netflix poured a bunch of money into building real practical sets. I saw stills from some of the sets, and I was like, oh, that's a really unique take on that. Like, I think I would enjoy seeing like the Baratier come to life in that way.
yes.
Stuff like that where I'm like, well, at least there might be some good aspects to this show, at least, even if overall it's still gonna suck. But yeah, then the second trailer, I don't remember really what it was. I'd have to rewatch it of like what caused me to like change my opinion on it and become more optimistic about it. Maybe it was just me holding out hope that like the source material was good enough, and based off of all I'd heard from the production, that they were putting a lot of tender love and care into this one, and that they really wanted to get this one right, and everyone seemed really passionate about working on it, which again raised the stakes because I'm like, oh, it's gonna suck that they put so much work into this and it's still gonna suck.
Right.
But I was just like, maybe
And you just keep seeing all these videos with the actors, and you're like, man,
they look like they're having so much fun, and I like them.
Man,
Yeah,
it's bad. Shit.
yeah. I'm just like, I don't want it to be bad, but I was just like, maybe it won't be bad. Maybe there's a chance, there's a shot that it's good. And so I just started to, similar to the main spirit of the story, I started to hold out hope for the dream that it's not gonna suck.
We were like the crew,
Yeah,
movie
it's like, I believe in
We're not
One
on your
Piece.
crew.
I believe in the source material and that they're not going to deviate from it so much like Netflix has done before and completely butcher it.
So I was alone then in my this is gonna suck.
Right.
And I felt very alone. I felt like abandoned by people that agreed with me.
Yeah.
All over Reddit.
I started drinking. It was really sad there for a little bit.
Yeah. I thought about cutting.
Yeah.
That's it. But I didn't. But it was, everybody was so up, and it got to the point where people were like, "You're gonna hate it no matter what," and I was like, "No, I don't think I will. To me, there's literally just nothing that
It was a long shot.
presented."
No matter how you
It was
sliced
gonna be
it,
good
it was
for
a
me.
long shot.
Then I saw a behind the scenes thing that they put out about a week before the premiere, and just the way things looked in that, I was finally starting to be won over. I think before that came out, they put some music out from the show that I was like, this music ain't half bad.
Oh yeah, and we will talk about the music.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
But...
And then I saw the behind the scenes thing, and then they put out a final trailer. And by the time that final trailer hit, even before that, I was starting to get pretty excited. By the time the show premiered, I was looking forward to it thoroughly.
Yeah, like, what is this gonna be?
I woke up at 3 a.m, the morning that it dropped, and when it came out and watched the first episode, because I needed to see what this was. And, you know, you heard reviewers talking about they'd seen the first episode or something. And I was like, I got to check this out. And we watched all of it. Me and you have watched all of it at this point now.
I watched all of it the first night.
You watched it all the first night? It took me a couple days. I was playing Baldur's Gate and Starfield at the same time, so I just split some time. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It is a fun romp of a watch with its own very unique aesthetic.
For sure.
And atmosphere type of a show. It's
very much like, I started to understand, like, cause like the whole opinion of like why One Piece not only can't work as a Netflix adaptation because Netflix has screwed up adaptations before, but just because of what One Piece is in general, it could never be translated to live action and have people take it seriously.
Yeah, that's one of like the main points we made back when we first talked about it.
Because it's one of the goofiest anime out there in terms of art style, character design. You know, there's fucking
characters in general, how they act.
Yeah, I was just like, you can't do this and have it be satisfying. That you can satisfy the original fans while also satisfying a general audience. And that's how I graded, how I went into the series, like how I was going to grade it. Like, does it A, work as a One Piece adaptation, and B, does it work as just a random show I would turn on Netflix because it's new, of like how a lot of people would have watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it succeeded in both, not without, you know, flaws here or there. Like you said, it's not the greatest show in the world, but I did have a fun time, like a genuinely fun time with it.
Fun.
I did think they got most of it right with adapting the source material, and I thought most of the changes that they made from the source material were reasonable. Most of them. There were a few gripes I had of like, why did they have to change that part? But
well, I'd be interested to hear you say that.
Yeah.
I would give, of those two things you said that you were looking for in it, I would give it a 1.5. I would give it the 1 for being a good adaptation of the material.
10?
No. You said you had two things you wanted it to do. Be a...
Oh, yeah.
So I would give it a 1.5. I give it the full 1 for being a good One Piece adaptation. I don't know if I can rightfully say I think it works as it's just any show for anybody to just put on.
Right.
I don't know if it completely does that. I think it does to an extent, but I don't think it completely does that.
And that's why...
But good enough.
We'll talk about it a bit later, but that's why I wanted to do some research and see what my parents thought about it.
Sure, yeah.
My parents know absolutely nothing about One Piece. I'm pretty sure they... Like, I told my mom, like, oh, yeah, I've been reading this since I was 16 years old. And she had no idea.
Okay.
That, like, it's been... Like, never heard of it before.
Sure. I mean, nobody would in
so
that matter.
If anyone is, like, a neutral observer of quality, it would be my mom and dad, which my mom watched it more than my dad. My dad, I don't know if he has ADHD or something, but he's always on his phone. But
Fair.
There were a few reactions from my dad from it as well that we'll get into.
I look forward to getting into that. But before we get going into that, the 1.5, when I said it and you thought it was the rating I was giving, the face you gave me, the look, it looked like you had felt. What were you thinking in that moment? Were you
I was
mad
just
at me?
confused because I was just like, I know you didn't hate it. And like 1.5 out of 10 is like abysmal.
Yeah, no. I have given it a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
It's a solid 7 out of 10.
I would personally give an 8 out of 10. I think I really enjoyed it, and it also helped that like I was just super pumped that like I think they managed to overall be successful.
Yeah, and like I said, I was addicted for oh god, it's much better than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
and I think that's something you really gotta. It's so much better than we thought it was ever going to be.
Right.
It's not the best.
Not the best.
I don't expect any first season of a show really to be the best.
Right, and that's the thing. I still see so much potential for season 2 of like what they could do.
Yeah, I hope they announce it soon. I hope they start working on it as soon as they can.
Yeah, and I have been like reading, like watching like just quick YouTube video reviews of like people who don't know anything about One Piece and watched it, and I've been seeing nothing but positive things from them too. Like people who are genuinely like, yeah, I've no connection to this property whatsoever, and I'm invested to see like where the crew goes next.
I think some of the things that I thought were negatives at the start of watching the show, though, they become more of the show's charm.
What were those?
I thought, so the first episode started, and I'll say this: a lot of the reviewers said that some of them only had seen the first episode before it had premiered,
yeah,
and they were like blown away by the first episode. They really. They fucking Wreck-It Ralph 2'd the first episode, because I was like, I was like, the first episode did not win me over at all.
Yeah,
it had good moments. I liked it, but it was not the first episode that I was told amazing, it was gonna be. It started, the opening scene with Gold Roger, and I still feel this way, feels like something I've watched somebody make on YouTube.
It's a little clunky.
It looks like it has the budget of a YouTube video, and that the acting's weird. Like, are they correct to the characters that they're playing? Sure, but it came off very weird for real life people. So that opening scene, I was like, this is not good. Like, it was a scary moment, because Cowboy Bebop's first scene was also the scene that made me go, this isn't gonna be good. Luckily, the show continues and does such a good job that things like there's a lot of cinematography that I'm like, ugh, why'd they do it like that? Like things like that. On a technical level, One Piece works in a lot of ways, but also doesn't in a lot of ways. But as the show goes on, that way of filming almost becomes charming. I'm going to rewatch the first episode and see how I feel about it.
It's weird. It can be off-putting at first when you first see it, but once you settle into it, you can really start to enjoy it for how different it is than stuff that you're normally used to seeing. Yeah. And I think that's why
you gotta watch it differently than in other shows.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna say earlier, but I think I forgot that it actually was seen as one of the hardest animes to adapt because of how goofy it is, but that's actually its strength. Because of how goofy it is, you don't have to pretend in live action like this is a realistic world. You can still do goofy stuff and just say like you're going to accept to the audience, like you're going to accept this or not. Like this is just how this world is.
Yeah.
And with that, you can get away with things with special effects, maybe looking a little wonky or stuff like that. Maybe like characters dressed up in like really weird hairstyles and outfits looking a little goofy. Like once you settle into it, you're like, yeah, this is just how this world is, and I'm excited to see what else like weird shit is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it almost like becomes its strength of like how weird it is that they don't have to, because Cowboy Bebop, there's a level of realism there that they have to stick to. So when you try and translate someone like Ed all of a sudden into like this noir story, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because they have to be kind of gritty and realistic.
Yeah.
But One Piece doesn't have to pretend like it is down to earth.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yeah. And I think, like you said with the Ed character, I think in a way they've nailed a lot of the characters, but I do think they need to tweak them just a little for it to work completely in live action. And one of the show's strengths is also one of the show's weaknesses. One of its strengths is it sticks really true to the story and the characters of One Piece. You're getting the story arcs, you're getting who they are, yada, yada, yada. Where it hurts them is they don't nail scenes because they try to make them too anime-like.
Right.
And actors struggle with that.
Although, there are two changes that they made that I was pissed off because they were less anime-like. I thought their anime counterpart scene was done much better.
Sure.
And I'll get to those. When do you want to hear about this?
Let me say this thing about this, and then you could probably dive into it. But there was, I just think like sometimes they try to make, so Luffy's a tough character because he's, screaming doesn't always translate well with live action.
That was good. I mean, I wasn't going to mention that, but him doing screams and like the fists up into the air didn't work for me. Yeah,
it did for me sometimes, but didn't always. And one of the scenes in particular that they like changed it, but then went back to it, and it was the Nami hat scene. There's a scene where he gives a hat to a character, and then he's like, "We're gonna go kick some ass." Now, In live action, what I thought really worked, she asks him for help, and he says, very softly, he says, like something like, of course I will. And you're like, ooh, I like that. But then he starts shouting it, and it's like, you should have just left it with that. Like, you could still create the tone that scene creates, but you don't need him shouting about it, even though that's what Luffy does.
I think there's two ways they could have done that scene better. Either A, have Luffy be quiet the entire time, like not even respond to Nami when she's trying to get him to go away.
Yep.
But then when she does ask him for help, then he just says one shouting, of course I will. I think that would be fine.
I just think you get rid of it entirely.
Or
shout at least.
You get rid of the of course I will entirely and just have him do the soft one and then just walk off.
That when he just said it to her, of course I will, and he put the hat on her, it sent shivers down me. I was like, oh, that was solid.
Yeah, and then it
and then he shouted it, and I was like, I know this is how it goes. I know this is who Luffy is. I know how it just felt very off in a very intense scene.
Yeah.
Because then it follows with good again, and then the episode ends. But like, it's things like that. When they try to directly represent an anime scene and not try to adapt it is where I think it hurts. There's a scene where the guy who plays Zoro he's giving a big, passionate, loud, screaming speech, and it just makes him look like a bad actor. It's a bad scene.
Yeah, and it always
it's supposed to be a big moment.
Well, that was a big, that was kind of a flub, I think, as well, because it didn't really feel that impactful. But in the manga, Zoro does that because he's shouting that out because Luffy's far away, like they're not close to each other, and so it like they're not all just standing over him and just like, why are you shouting right now? Kind of weird goofiness.
Yeah, it just felt out of place.
Yeah.
And he also, they didn't give him the exact lines too. So like they wanted to recreate the scene, but they didn't give him the exact lines that make that scene cool. So it's just like, let's just get past this.
Right.
And it's, like I said, there's a few moments like that throughout that kind of suck. Give me your things that you didn't like.
So one of the big ones that I didn't like, not that I hated it, but I just think that the anime version was done much better, was the Shanks Mountain Bandit face-off scene.
Okay.
Where so in the anime, Shanks shows up with these mountain bandits causing trouble, which is pretty much 1-to-1 what happens in the live action as well. But where they kind of differ is that Shanks gets a gun pointed to him by one of the mountain bandits, and he's being all cool and calm. And then he just kind of looks at the guy who's pointing the gun at him and says, if you're going to draw a gun, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, if you're going to draw a gun, you better
use it.
And then you hear a bam, and Lucky Roo is right next to Shanks. Point blanks him right next to Shanks. He was not there before. He basically fucking shadow stepped up to this guy and shot him. And it was a huge surprise. And Shanks is expressionless when this happens. He just has a cool look on his face.
He's just sitting there,
when this happens.
Oh, yep, I knew this was
And then
happen.
The crew go and beat up the rest of them. But in the live action, Shanks points a finger gun at the guy. He's not even pointing a gun at him. And then he goes to shoot him with the finger gun, and then the guy actually gets shot by Lucky Roo, who's a far distance away. And Shanks looks surprised that Lucky Roo shot him.
I don't know if I noticed the surprise look. I have to watch that.
And then it goes into just a regular bar fight, which it was a cool bar fight scene, but in the anime, just the way that they had it, well, for one, they just show Ben Beckman go off screen and just beat them all up really easily. And in this one, they have a tussle, but it almost makes them look weaker than they're supposed to be, because they're supposed to be pretty strong already right now. And they just kind of look like dudes in a bar fight. When in the anime, it looks like, oh, these guys are actually really formidable.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't.
That's interesting. I do like that scene. I definitely, of course, I think the shot to the head scene in anime is way better. I think I get why they didn't do that, though. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know. I think because they committed to the anime parts in some aspects, but didn't in others. But I think that's the one where they should have committed to the anime. And it would have also probably been easier to shoot than the actual bar fight scene. Because if you can have a character suddenly like pop up out of nowhere and have it be a surprise and stuff. Like,
Yeah. I guess for me, it's more the point blank shot to the head. Maybe with probably, I don't know if Netflix, they're like, this is an adult show, but we don't know how adult we want to make it.
okay,
Get a point blank shot to the head.
I would agree with that, but Zoro fucking bisects a guy in the first episode and you see his guts fall out. So I think they could point blank someone. And they basically still did. Like, Yasop does a ricochet into the guy's head, but not point blank quite, but still see the point that his head's blown off.
Yeah. It's fair.
So that's the thing. They did go more violent.
With some stuff.
With some stuff.
Yeah, before we get to your second thing, one thing I really liked about the show, like really got me going, was I thought the fight choreography and the action scenes were well done.
Yeah.
Entirely. And the whole time I'm like, how are they going to show a guy fight with a sword in his mouth? Pretty well.
They managed. They don't do it a lot.
Yeah.
To be fair, he doesn't fight with 3 swords a lot in the early East Blue days.
But
it's only when he's
bad.
Really
even
struggling.
when he put it in his mouth, I was like, why not? So I thought all the fighting and shit. Honestly, I thought the weakest episode was the finale. That was the weakest episode for me, especially even with the fighting. Like when they did the hour-long park thing, it was like, this. Ooh.
Well, I thought Luffy's fights looked good, but you can definitely tell there's a lot. There's a lot less experience. God damn it, my throat's
Kraden coming over. We can call Kraden and take over
talking
for it.
So much, just itching my throat.
Some water, man.
Thank you.
It's poisoned.
Kraden's here.
Kraden time.
You can definitely tell that there's a lot less experience in filmmaking, shooting, fight choreography for like a stretchy character than there are for like a sword fighting character.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Zoro's fights were like the best choreographed.
Sure, yeah.
There's a lot of experience behind shooting sword fighting scenes and sword fighting choreography. Not quite as much for like
a rubber man.
Rubber fights believable, which I think they did a good job. I did enjoy Luffy's fights, but I definitely think his fights were weaker in comparison to Zoro's fights.
Sure. Like
the Shamabuchi fight in the Syrup Village arc, I thought was like way better than the Kuro fight that Luffy was having.
Sure. Absolutely.
Like I thought the Kuro fight was a little goofy.
Yeah.
Especially like just the way Kuro moves. He's like, ooh.
And it makes sense. It's how it is.
Yeah, it's how it is. And I was
just translates oddly.
It translates oddly, but I did appreciate that they didn't shy away from translating that.
No, yeah, they really leaned into
I think you need to lean into a character like that to make it work. Which I thought the actor for Kuro, just by the way, did a great job.
Sure did. I even had a little,
But I would say Syrup Village is probably the weakest, for me, part of this series. It gets a little slow.
It didn't need to be 2 episodes, I guess.
No, I don't know why they made that 2 episodes and not... I think it probably has to do with sets, like all the money they poured into sets too. Like they wanted to, you could tell they wanted to reuse the sets as much as possible.
I think the thing is, though, I think they could have really, if they would have just made that 1 episode, keep the rest of the show the same, you could get a Logtown episode in.
A Logtown, or put more of Don Krieg in it.
Oh, yeah, they pretty much get him out of there entirely.
Because I thought, I liked the Baratier section of this, but it's definitely the most altered arc because they completely cut out the villain, replace him with Arlong and Mihawk, which I understand. If you have to cut out a villain from East Blue, Don Krieg's probably
cuts do need to be made in these things. Yeah.
So I wasn't like super mad about that.
He still got to, but still showed him. He's still part of the show.
Yeah, it definitely it kind of diluted Sanji's character a little bit. Which I think it's also just, it didn't help that he was introduced much later, so has less time to sink in, that's why I'm excited for season 2 to actually see how all of them act.
More of a lot of the characters, yeah. I like how they handled flashbacks. I thought they handled flashbacks really well.
Amazing.
And that's important. Like,
some of the kid
flashbacks are important. Yeah, whatever. And I expect that of kid actors. Luckily, they're not on the show for very long. Sanji's kid actor was fine.
My favorite flashback in the series was Sanji's.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was the most well done.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanji's is one of my favorite backstories in the anime.
Sure.
But I was also glad. I think they executed it the best. Like, it's genuinely emotional. kid actor's
Fun to watch.
The Zeph's
Filmed
actors,
very nicely.
Zeph's actor is one of the best
Yeah.
in the show.
Oh God, the actors. There are some weak acting moments, but overall the actors are very good. They bring the characters to
the
life.
veteran actors and like the newer ones.
Yeah.
Because even like with Luffy, some of his lines didn't quite land for me. But for the most part, he had the spirit, he had the energy there.
I agree with people that said like this guy embodies Luffy. I'm like, he makes this dumb shit that Luffy say believable and work for the most part, so that's good.
I think pretty much all of the casting nailed it, except for a few exceptions, like Makino, like you said, and Ben Beckman is not a cool guy.
They just look weird, yeah.
Kind of looks. I mean, I feel bad for the actor, but a lot of people have pointed him out. It's just like what happened to Ben. He looks like a divorced 50-year-old down on his luck dad.
And that's the thing. I said that about all of Shanks' crew. Honestly, I was like, even Shanks. I was like, I don't know. He doesn't look as cool as Shanks. Yeah, but then I'm also like, they are pirates though. So
they look grubby.
Rough.
Yeah, they're supposed to look grubby.
So they do. It's just
I thought. I understood the reservations with Shanks' actor. I liked him.
Yeah, he's fine.
But I thought like the end scene with him and Mihawk was what really solidified him as like, yeah, this guy's Shanks. Like he kind of wasn't showing a lot of like the happy-go-lucky like
drunk Shanks worked.
Drunk Shanks pirate, but him at the end where he's just like he's being like a pirate on a beach and happy about it, like he's talking to one of the coolest characters, which I thought they fucking nailed
all over the place.
Which he was the one I was the most worried about of like, how do you, like, I really hope we're talking about Mihawk, right? So Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman, I really thought that they were going to depower him to make him more believable. And I'm very glad that they didn't. And it managed to look great, I thought.
Anything anime over the top worked very well.
Yeah, like when he sliced the ship, it looked fantastic.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And him just like you would think it looks goofy, but it just looks cool when he's just like slicing guys on the beach very casually, and they're just like flying in the air.
Yeah, that's why I'm so excited for another season, because I think everything about the show will go up a level. Budget's increased. All my gripes with it are easy fixes.
Yeah, I definitely think Netflix is going to pay more attention to it now because their investment is appearing to pull off. I mean, there's still time yet if like there's a huge drop off or not.
It's got a 90-something% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes with the audience.
Yeah, and I have been seeing a lot of like new to One Piece people say that they like it. Which that's like, I think, the main goal of the live action. No one's saying the live action is ever going to surpass the anime or the manga.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't expect it.
I don't expect it to. But the real goal behind it was to like make One Piece palatable for a general audience, because the biggest issue with the series for the longest time is like it's gargantuan and hard to get into.
Yeah.
And
so start it over, start it fresh.
It's like a condensed version of what's good about One Piece.
Yeah.
Like, and you can tell it's a good source material and good core story because so many people enjoyed it who knew nothing about One Piece.
It's hard to say if they will get to make all of One Piece with this. Probably not.
But I'm excited to see
the run they get. Yeah,
like
they're doing a fine job.
There's a good shot. Well, we're definitely seeing Chopper. If they get a season 2, very good shot. We'll see Nico Robin.
Definitely.
Crocodile.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'd imagine season 2 will cover all of throughout.
They don't have to finish it, but like getting enough and having it be good.
Yeah,
I could still rewatch it, even if they make it up to like Water 7 or something.
Yeah,
which would be great.
Would be cool. It would be cool to see this go.
Yeah,
I hope it does. For a show that I thought was gonna suck, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want it. I completely 180'd my feelings.
And there's plenty of time for Netflix to still screw it up.
Hey, they're writers, and get this back on.
Yeah. And so that's I heard from one of the head writers on Twitter that they have it all.
They're ready to go. Yeah, I saw that.
They just have to pay people.
Right. They just have to pay people and get back to their jobs, and they'll be ready to go.
Yeah. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun show. Try it out. Is it perfect? No, but is it fun? Yes. If you're just looking for an easy 8 episodes, I haven't binged something on Netflix, especially a show that's an hour an episode, like I did with One Piece. So that's something I didn't even think I was gonna
Yeah,
like.
it holds your attention.
And the
throughout
good
all of it.
scenes are really good. Like the ones that are really good. There was a scene in particular I wanted to bring up. There's a scene, and it's in the last episode, almost the last moment, where the crew's together. They're talking, they're voicing their dreams, like what they're going on this quest to do.
One of the best scenes in the show.
And while each character is saying it, it cuts to the little kid version from their flashback, saying it in that moment. It fades in really, really nicely. And then the voices, their adult voices talking over, and that touched me. I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah, they know how to do emotional moments in the show.
Yes.
And enhance them.
They know how to do action. They know how to do emotional. They just have to work on a few things. Buggy's actor, amazing.
Agree.
Love Bucky.
Yeah,
Buggy. I'm Luffy.
You're like
I
Luffy.
love Luffy. I love looking at his
Luffy.
name. Oh my. We're kind of wrapping things up, but I want to just throw in more of these things I like. It was funny. It was
Very funny.
genuinely funny.
Yeah, you
laughed
could tell
at
that
things
the actors
actually
were having a fun time.
I laughed at things because they did characters I knew very well, right? But I also laughed at things that were just genuinely
Funny.
funny.
Yeah, and it's live action brand like jokes. It's,
Yeah,
some of them are taken from
But
the
they
manga,
were-
but some of them aren't.
Oh my god! When Garp just wants to fucking eat at one point, I was like, "That's Garp," because he's very serious, and people didn't like that at first. But I was like, he's being serious. So when he does become more Garp-like, that we're like,
Yeah, you
There's
start
our
to settle in.
character.
And you're like, oh no, this guy's actually weird.
Yeah.
and it's fun.
and we like it. So things
I
like
love
that.
Just another tidbit about Garp. I love to like whenever he would get really angry and just start laughing.
Yeah,
Like some people thought that was weird, but I really enjoyed it because
what's him?
That's
It's
Garp. Like,
it is
crazy.
weird. It is weird. If you
Yeah.
don't know this, it is weird at first.
Yeah,
It is. But that's one of those things that it's anime being translated to real life.
right.
It's like,
So it's
does
not going
that.
to be for everyone.
Right. But, maybe once you get into it, though, it is.
You can just accept, yeah, he's just a weird guy.
Yeah.
You accepted the black cat pirates who dress up as cats and hiss like cats.
And are very weird people. Yeah. Yeah. It was something. It was special.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Definitely recommend it. Check it out. If it's for you, sure. If it's not, whatever.
I would definitely say this is the best live action anime adaptation I've seen. I have not seen many. The ones I have seen.
Yeah, I would
great.
say for me, I've heard the Rurouni Kenshin ones are really good, but I've never watched them.
I've never watched it, so I'm not counting it.
Right. But yeah, I mean I would say, unless there's any I'm forgetting, I would say, yeah, it's the best they could possibly be.
Yep. Sets were great.
They do everything right. For the
Music
most
was
part.
amazing. I thought the music was one of the best.
The music
things
is
about the show.
bombastically good.
Yeah, I
Music
don't
is
know who
fucking awesome.
Who they got to score it, but
Did you get my text where I was like, that song that played at the fucking end of the last episode?
Yeah.
What a bop. We listened to it in the car. It's so, I walked out. It was over, so I like went to the kitchen, and all of a sudden I just hear this jam playing in my living room. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
well, and even like all of the
Pirate music,
Yeah.
man. Bam.
all of the villains have like a theme song too. Like I loved Arlong's because it was so different from the rest of the music. It was just like this beat boppy,
Yes.
I love that they made him kind of like a gangster.
Yeah. Yeah. They made him work. It was him in the trailers I did not like. And then,
No, I thought he was gonna suck.
and then he was
but
fine. I mean,
The actor I thought did a
Yeah.
great job. Like he hammed it up in a good way.
mhm.
It was just like you just like the way he says certain words. Like he was talking to Buggy and he's like, "I gotta remind you of your place in the food chain."
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. That
Everybody dives into their characters. Another thing I really liked, I liked how in every episode when the title card came up, it was unique.
it was
It was
one of the
based on
best
whatever.
like aspects that like that's a uniquely live action.
I
thing
love
that
the
they've done.
aesthetic of the show.
And it was awesome. I loved it every time. Like they would interact with their wanted poster and
Mhm.
had like their theme music playing, like blaring in the background.
I didn't know at first. I didn't like the wanted poster thing. That was another thing. It was one of those things. At first, I was like,
You have to
"Ooh."
settle into it.
You settle into it. Yep. You know that that's gonna happen every time, so just roll with it.
Yeah, and it's just like it's cool because they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But they did, and it's like an extra.
And everybody gets rid of it in their own way.
Yeah, it's like
I think at first it was Alvita at first, so I was
yeah,
like,
she like hits it.
dumb. I hated it, but as
But the
cool
girl, like,
characters
slices
did,
through it.
yeah, Buggy, yeah, it's all good.
Arlong like fucking eats
it. Yeah. Yeah. And if you just keep doing that, the aesthetics they totally need to keep.
Yeah. The aesthetics are on the point.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Trying to think of anything else.
I'm sure there is more.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we could go through episode by episode if we wanted to, but that would take too long.
Too long, yeah. Give a general. I think we've done a good job with a general.
For
how
sure.
we feel about it.
Yeah. I also thought it was a good decision to. It was a big decision, and it's definitely a big spoiler for anyone first getting into One Piece, but moving Garp up in the storyline and establishing him earlier and giving us more of Kobe and Garp's dynamic.
Okay, yeah, I do want to get into that real quick. It was one of those things that expanded the material in a good way. You didn't get to see any of that in the comic.
No, it's all off screen.
But seeing it, even if it's made up for the show, I really liked it because it showed, because that's very important what's happening there. But it also it showed Garp as a teacher, which is a big part of his character.
Yeah, and you get to just see more of Garp. This is, we really don't see a lot of Garp in the anime or manga, just for a few scenes.
You could tell the people working on the show were big One Piece fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I also think Helmeppo's actor is unironically one of the best ones in the series.
He's like the character in the show himself. You hate him at first, but then you roll with him.
Yeah, I thought
we saw his naked ass.
We saw his naked ass. I thought he did a fantastic job, which is he's just a little shit. He's just a little shit boy. And you hate him, but he starts to become kind of sympathetic, and he's still entertaining to see, even though you hate him. And he's 100% his character going into it. Even his mouth, he purposely made his mouth huge when he's laughing to get that Helmeppo crazy laugh. And then you like him by the end.
You do like him by the end. Yeah. There are a couple heel turn character moments that do happen throughout, but it's also whatever.
It works, I think.
Yeah. A couple decisions that are just that seems out of nowhere, but you roll with it.
Oh, the other scene that I didn't like.
Oh, wait.
I thought they messed up.
End with a negative. Death. Who's that?
Nami's mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought that they kind of butchered that scene of where she dies.
You didn't like it?
I didn't hate it, but I definitely think the anime did it a lot better.
Yeah.
The live action made it just kind of seem like she's just stupid. And just she could have come up with any kind of lie. They didn't really solidify more besides one line of how important Belmere and her mother-daughter relationship with them is. She just out of the blue was no, I refuse to ever not call you my daughters, because I'm pretty sure in the anime they get Nami and Nojiko get caught or by them or Arlong or something, and he's are these your daughters?
Yeah, it is different. I can't remember exactly what.
And she had the opportunity to say no, but then she was no, I claim them. I'm never gonna say that those aren't my daughters. Arlong actually asks if they're her daughters.
Yeah.
Not just her out of the blue giving. It just looks like she just gave up her daughters and gave up her life for no reason. I'd need to rewatch that scene in the anime, but I remember it being a lot more impactful.
Yeah, you didn't feel it as much. I think it became a more of a timing thing with probably this. They were we just gotta get
through it.
The gist of it down and move on. Yeah.
I mean, it was serviceable.
And I think those are fine. If those are your only two scenes that you really have an issue with,
two big gripes.
I think you're all right.
Yeah, I thought all the other changes were necessary and reasonable. Yeah, and managed to still maintain the spirit of the story while it's still a condensed, coherent story.
Yeah, it hit every part it needed to. Definitely, if you look at any comic book adaptation of anything, it's never shot for shot.
No, and it shouldn't be. It will fail if it is shot for shot.
And they do a pretty good job. So, One Piece, live action.
One Piece.
We're giving it, I give it a solid B.
I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for me.
B.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. B plus?
I guess mine's more of a C if it's actually, but it's a number, it's a 7 out of 10. If it's a letter, it's a B.
Yeah, it's fair.
I wouldn't say B plus. I almost even go B minus, but B still pretty good. B's still pretty good. A B minus is still pretty good.
You're B minus is great.
I mean, take that as you will then. So yeah, that's One Piece.
Yep, that's One Piece.
And it was
Pretty good. Go watch it.
Yeah. Check it out. Well, no, I don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
Move on with your life. Watch something else. Tell us something to watch. Anybody who's watching can get a hold of us. Tell us things to watch. We'll watch and talk about. We got stuff to do.
We love to watch and talk.
Yeah. Anything else going on with you?
No, I don't really have much else going on beyond the stuff that we've been talking about. Mainly just been playing video games. So
yeah, video games have been taking up a lot of time. This is gonna be a video game podcast if we're not careful.
Right.
Well, all right. Well, shitters. That I think that's the show this time around.
Time to bid you adieu.
Remember, follow us on Spotify, YouTube channel, all that good shit. We have an Instagram now that I'm putting some pictures up here and there on, and announcing when episodes are coming out. So follow us on there. Follow us where you can. Tell your friends. Spread the word. We're getting better every week. Every time we record. All that good shit.
Yep. Brought to you by MeUndies.
Mm-hmm.
They wick away sweat. They're pretty good.
And yeah. Good health. Better help.
Better health.
Fuck.
This is Better Health.
BetterHealth.com. Take care of yourselves.
Please sponsor us.
All right. Well, do you have a song to sing us out with? You don't have to. Okay. We're done with the songs to sing out to, so we're just going to say adios, amigos.
And have a good night.